to the Be Better podcast with Infinity Real Estate Services. True stories from Bakersfield's business owners and entrepreneurs. We have sold over 50,000 homes in the Kern County area, and we are still going. Delete your limiting beliefs. If you have a dream, turn it into a goal. Only massive, inspired action will get you to where you want to be. If you're starting a business or looking to grow one, you're in the right spot. Welcome to the Be Better experience.
What's up, guys? It's Lee Barrison here with the Be Better podcast, and coming from the Infinity Real Estate Services headquarters here at 2611 F Street in Bakersfield, California. And I appreciate everybody out there watching this podcast and listening to the information that we provide with some of our amazing guests. As you know, before we get started, this podcast isn't here to raise money. We're not here to, we're basically here just to create awareness for people out there that really want to be better, right? Be better as far as a family, whether it be better as a husband or as a wife or a business owner, an entrepreneur, an athlete, whichever you prefer, you want to be better in. That's our goal in this podcast. And I want to give a big thanks to all of our guests that have interacted with our podcast. And again, we have another great guest today. She's been in the real estate world for about 5 years, and basically, she came from a banking back world or a banking world in her past. But as of today, we have Veronica from Property ID, and I want to say thank you, Veronica, for joining us today.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. My first podcast ever, so
yes,
bear with me.
No problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what? Let me lead the podcast for you, so that way we can get started on the right foot.
Awesome.
But Veronica, I mean, real quick, how long have we been working together as far as like business associates? It's been about what, 4 or 5 years, maybe, or
pretty much close to 5 years. I know I started the ground hitting hard, visiting all my offices that I had on my list, and I know you guys were definitely one of them. But it took me a little bit. I think you had transitioned during the period of time that there was no one around in Bakersfield.
Yeah.
So it took me a couple months to get back in, but ever since, it's been at least 4 years for sure. We've been working together.
Sure. Yeah, and that's really cool. And so when you before you got into natural hazards and home warranties or whatnot. Basically, tell us a little bit about your history, your family, where you come from, and what you do.
Okay. Well, I come from Mexico. I was born.
Where about?
Born in León, Guanajuato, Mexico.
Okay.
And was brought here when I was like 4 years old. So pretty much this is where I've lived, the U.S., California. But during my lifetime, I've also lived in Arizona and New Mexico as well. So a few years in each of those states due to just transitioning job positions and so forth. I am married. I have 3 children and 3 grandchildren.
Congratulations.
So,
wow, that's great. What are their ages as far as the grandkids are?
I have a newborn baby, 2 months, and a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old.
Wow. Very, very cool. Okay.
Yeah, my daughter, all from one. She's been busy.
Good for her. Well, that makes mom excited, right, for her daughter, and yes. Also, I'm sure she's excited about
Very
that.
Exciting.
So, tell us a little bit about what you do, right? So, I know that you've worked for Property ID ever since we met, I guess, right? I've met the owner of the company a few times. He seems like a really great guy, very informative. Tell us about what you guys do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you mentioned our founder, the founder of NHD, actually. His name is Carlos Siderman. He's a wonderful guy. He just put a book out just for everybody. I can't remember the name of the book, but I'm going to post it so you guys could go out and look for it.
We'll plug the book afterwards.
On Amazon.
Okay.
But he's originally from Argentina, and he built his business from the ground up, and he has a lot of other businesses. He kind of put the NHD not to the side, but a lot of other people, great people, are running it and going through it. So the company has been around for almost close to 50 years. And has been very successful, and I believe it has definitely been due to the people working for the company. What I do, my biggest thing, I like to say that I work in the people business, and networking is my love language. I love to network. I love to build relationships. I have met some great people in this throughout my 5 years that I've been here, made friendships, and a lot of people that I consider family, pretty much. So it's not just about the report that you're selling. It's really, you have to sell yourself. So NHD, I mean, who doesn't, natural hazard disclosures, they're not all the same, but it's the report. We do offer a lot of different things that differentiate us from other companies, such as we have the report in multi-languages, so different languages, Espanol being one of them, and also Chinese. We have the highest insurance in the industry as well, which is $20 million that we offer to cover and protect the real estate agents and brokers. And we also have an in-house attorney, so access to our in-house services for attorneys. And that basically is, if you're using our report, the clients have questions, you shouldn't try to answer them yourselves, because you are not the ones that created that report. So that's why you leave it to the experts. And we offer our in-house attorney services that will either contact your client directly through email or phone.
Good. So you guys have legal services that will back people up, that provide, or that pay for the report, I'm assuming, right?
Correct. Yeah. So if you're using a property ID report, you have questions, or your client have questions on, one of the biggest things we get questions on is the fire forms. So the our attorney will contact your client directly and explain to them how they need to fill those out, why they need it, and whatever questions they have.
Good for them, yeah. I mean, that's really important too, right? Because I mean, I don't know, within your past 5 years working for Property ID, like, have you experienced any legality type issues that have come up where you guys had to have the attorney jump in order to save somebody's butt by chance, or?
Well, if it gets to the point where it gets to court, then it's other attorneys that would handle that. But a lot of the times when the lawsuits happen, the first people that get sued is going to be the real estate agent.
Sure.
And the brokerage.
We're to blame.
And then, of course, then they're going to bring in, well, if it was because of the disclosure, and specifically the natural hazard disclosure, then they'll bring in the attorneys from the natural disclosure company. I haven't had a situation like that.
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
That's a good to know. So say that one more time.
We have not had any of those situations, at least for the time being that I've been with Property ID.
Okay.
I have not had any lawsuits, I should say.
That's good.
Or heard of any within the company. But I'm sure but I have had questions, a lot of questions, and people asking about the report and after the fact. So one of the things we do is we back up our report. We guarantee what we say. And so if we do make a mistake, everybody makes mistakes, we will back it up and they'll fix it.
Good for you. Yeah, that's great. So tell everybody out there, I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that aren't really aware of what an NHD or a natural hazard disclosure is. What is that? And what's beneficial to the buyer of that property when they get the keys to the home?
Okay. Well, in the state of California, the natural hazard disclosure is required by law. So by law, you have to have it, no matter what. Even if you're doing a sale by owner. So if you're doing it for sale by owner, the seller is responsible for providing the natural hazard, which is going to explain to the potential buyer if the home is located anywhere near the main ones are fire, flood, earthquake, but we take it above and beyond and pretty much look at everything that has to do with natural hazards. So even going on to oil and gas wells, anything that one of the big things that's been mudslides and things like that.
Because of all the rain in California.
Because of all the rain in California.
Sure.
So we do take it a step above and beyond and provide a little bit more. We're one of the reports that are the most complete. So again, the buyer benefits from it because they want to know what, if anything, is potentially hazardous in that house that they are going to be purchasing. They need to be let know. So if, for example, they don't want to live near a fault zone, earthquake fault zone, they would know that beforehand. Or if their home is located near a flood zone, they know they're going to need flood insurance. So that's why it's very important. So I mentioned if it's for sale by owner, the seller is responsible for providing this report. If, as most transactions are, they're represented by a realtor, the realtor is responsible for providing that report to the buyer. So
with that, like I have an uncle that lives in Santa Barbara County, and La Conchita, I believe, is the neighborhood. It's between Carpinteria and Ventura.
Yes.
And that's where back during the El Nino days, the entire community got flooded and everyone lost their house. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And so those folks there, like for instance, if you were to buy a property in an area that was, high flood hazards or whatever, then the report would show that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it would advise the current buyer of the property or the new owner.
Yes.
As to what they might be up against. Now, question.
Correct.
So does the natural hazard disclosure affect the insurance policies on properties?
Yes.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Yes. Again, like I said, that's why it's so important and crucial, and we advise that you order it at the time that you list the property. Because if it is located near a flood zone and now you are going to need flood insurance, the bank is going to require flood insurance. So if you were barely qualifying for the loan because of the payment, so now your payment's going to go higher.
Sure.
Because of the escrow fees and so forth. So, maybe you don't qualify for that home anymore and you liked it, because you need flood insurance, or you'll need to provide extra money for it.
Mm-hmm. And then so NHD as well, right? So if a house were to have been located, or if a house is located in a flood zone area, or if a house is located on a earthquake fault area, the NHD, or the natural hazard disclosure, would provide that information to the buyer.
Yes.
Okay. And then once the buyer realizes that, because the NHD, or the natural hazard disclosure, has to be given to the buyer, provided by the seller within 7 days or 17 days,
Correct.
or less. And so once they receive that disclosure, then they automatically probably should take that disclosure to the insurance person that they're going to have insurance through. And then the insurance adjuster, or the insurance person that's going to provide the insurance or the coverage, that's going to be their job to say whether or not they even want to do the deal with the buyer or not, I'm assuming, right?
Correct. Well, there's a lot of insurance companies that are backing away now from doing either
in California.
Yeah, in California.
Yes, yeah.
Fire zones and flood. But that should, I believe, be talked about even with your lender, when it comes to the lending, starting with the lending process, because then that's when they'll know if they are going to be requiring this extra insurance, and it's going to affect their payment in the long run, if they're still going to be able to qualify for that home based on that. So if they, the insurance company does want to cover them, obviously.
Well, then we got to go find somebody else that will, right?
Yes, if they still want the property.
For a much bigger premium as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
So again, if you want to avoid all of this, don't wait until you get into escrow to start doing this. Order the report at the time of listing.
Sure.
At least with us, with Property ID, you do not pay for the report until escrow closes.
Okay.
So that's big.
So if I were to take a listing right now,
Yes.
I can actually order the the natural hazard disclosure now.
Yes.
Just to make the sellers and myself aware for the next buyer.
Yes.
Right. Okay, cool.
Correct.
That's good to know. So
Correct.
anybody else out there that, I mean, if you're in real estate or if you're in the process of buying a home or selling a home, then I think Veronica would be a good person to advocate to in order to get, that report ahead of time versus being in escrow 10, 15, 20 days into it. Then all of a sudden, the sellers drop a bomb on you because the natural hazard disclosure shows that you are entirely in a flood zone and a fire hazard zone, and your insurance is going to go up by twice or 3 times, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, good.
Correct.
So on the natural hazard, right? Because if anybody out there that's on this podcast has not seen a natural hazard disclosure, I mean, it's definitely, a lot of verbiage,
Yes,
right?
it
And
is.
it's all pre-written by attorneys to keep everybody out of court,
Yes.
right? And so a lot of the verbiage may or may not apply to you or your situation. But there are some pages in there that are very important to take a peek at, right? And so what are those pages that the buyer or the consumer ought to be maybe, taking a look at?
So I believe that we have one of the easiest to read reports because what it's called is the one page NHD Max. A lot of people get it confused. Is it Max? Is it Property ID? It's Property ID Max, both.
Yeah.
So the Max, it just means that we enhanced our report. It's maximized. So everything is hyperlinks on one page, and you could get to what you're looking for so quickly. So if you want to know if it's in a flood, it'll say flood on the first page. You click there and it'll tell you, yes, it is. No, it's not. The biggest one that is important for you to look at would be those. If you need to sign for flood, fire, and then the signature pages. One of the other ones that I recommend highly, especially if hopefully you're not, but if you're using a different report, is take a look at the terms and conditions, which is always at the end.
Okay, tell us more about that.
A red flag, what I would say is if it's more than one page, terms and conditions, to me that's a red flag. They're basically telling you everything there that they're not gonna guarantee, what they're not responsible for. I mean, you want to read the fine print, like they say. Our report is one page terms and conditions. So it basically tells you very clear right there. And there's some that are up to 4 pages terms and conditions.
Which is kind of confusing to the consumer, right?
Yes.
Right. So if I was a buyer in today's market, or I'm sorry, if I was a seller in today's market, like so for one, I can get my disclosure immediately once I put the home on the market. And then secondly, like, what is the cost of a natural hazard disclosure with Property ID?
Oh, it's only $99.
So it's under $100.
It's not 100. It's
Yes.
99.
Good.
And we include the environmental as well. So
Okay,
it
good.
is,
Yeah.
it is included. I know that there's other.
Which is a supplemental disclosure, I believe, right?
Yes.
Set aside from the. Okay.
Correct.
So what's the environmental
It'll
intel?
tell you if there's any type of, for example, a factory that's using chemicals that's nearby the home and could potentially affect. So you're just being disclosed there that you're being aware of.
Noise pollution?
Correct.
Does that come up in the reports
pollution,
too? Okay. Prisons?
all of that.
Okay.
So, tracks, if there's railroads tracks nearby.
There you go. Yeah. Huh?
Things like
What about chickens clucking in your backyard at 5 a.m.? I mean,
that is more of a TDS kind of thing.
okay.
So TDS, that's another, very illegal report that is also required, but that one is nothing has to do with natural hazard. That you either know it or you don't, depending on who lived there.
Right. Okay. Very good. So Veronica, with that being said, do me a favor.
Yes.
For everybody out there, tell us how to get a hold of you. If anybody out there has any questions about, with the services that you provide, how they can get a hold of you, let everybody know.
Okay. So first of all, I forgot to mention, I do cover a large territory. So
Yes, you do. Yep.
my territory includes Bakersfield, going all the way to Tehachapi, Ridgecrest, all of that area, that good area. Antelope Valley, Santa Clarita, Valencia, and Central Coast, starting from Oxnard, Ventura, all the way to San Luis Obispo, Paso Robles, and everything in between.
That's a lot.
So It is a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot, but it's doable. It's manageable, and
Well, it has to be because I mean we see you here 2-3 times a week. So therefore I mean it's not too much.
Yeah. You just have to make sure planning is big and
Sure.
and making sure that you attend the things that obviously you're being invited to scheduled for, that you schedule for it, make time for it. So in order to contact me, I mean, I do try to be very visible, like they say, out of sight, out of mind. So I can't be everywhere all the time.
Sure.
So I'm very big on social media as well. So you can contact me, follow me at NHD Queen or at Veronica.
That's so funny.
Veronica Property ID on Facebook. My phone number is 661-335-2119. You're welcome to call me, text me with any questions, orders. You can order our report at propertyd.com. You can also go there and you can view a sample report. You can view a sample report in Spanish. You can view, if you just want to see the earthquake planning zones. There's a lot of information on there, so I highly recommend that you go on our website and take a look at what's on there as well. But like I said, you can order there, or you can email me at vtovar, Tovar, at propertyd.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Veronica.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So anybody out there, guys, whether you're a real estate agent or a consumer, or if you're just a homeowner and you want to know more about the NHD process, because you don't have to be within a transaction, right, in order to get an NHD report, right? You don't. You can just go off and get it yourself.
Correct.
If you want.
If you want to know about your property.
Yeah, so if you guys have time on your hands and if you guys want to know more about the environmental issues or the natural hazard issues within your area, reach out to Veronica. And Veronica, thank you very, very much for your time, and we appreciate you and all that you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You got it.